How did Brazil, a country so rich in resources, end up with an economy that seems perennially stuck in a rut? A question that has puzzled economists for decades. Brazil, the fifth largest country in the world, is blessed with an abundance of natural resources, from the vast Amazon rainforest to significant offshore oil reserves. This South American giant is also home to a large and diverse population of over 200 million people, a potential consumer market that should be the envy of the world. In fact, Brazil's economy is the 12th largest globally, boasting a gross domestic product that surpasses $1 trillion. Yet, despite this significant potential, Brazil's economic performance often falls short of expectations. The country's economic growth has been inconsistent, punctuated by periods of rapid expansion followed by bouts of stagnation and even contraction. High inflation, unemployment, and income inequality are persistent issues. Despite being a leading exporter of commodities like soybeans, iron ore, and petroleum, Brazil struggles with a substantial trade deficit. Moreover, Brazil's economic structure is characterized by a high degree of state intervention, with numerous state-owned enterprises dominating key sectors of the economy. This has raised concerns about efficiency and competitiveness. Then there's the issue of corruption. Brazil ranks poorly on Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index, a factor that discourages foreign investment and hampers economic development. But, perhaps most critically, Brazil grapples with a complex and burdensome tax system. This, coupled with a challenging regulatory environment, can make doing business in Brazil an uphill task. The World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index ranks Brazil 124th out of 190 countries, a testament to these challenges. In the face of these realities, one can't help but wonder, how did a country with such immense potential end up here? How did a land so rich in resources fall into a cycle of economic underperformance? The answer to these questions is not simple. It involves a tangled web of historical, political, and economic factors, each playing its part in shaping Brazil's current economic landscape. To understand this paradox, we need to delve deeper into Brazil's economic history and its current challenges. So, stay tuned as we explore this enigma that is Brazil's economy. Brazil's economic journey has been a roller coaster ride, filled with periods of growth and downturns. Let's take a step back into the early 20th century when Brazil was witnessing a boom, largely due to its agricultural sector. The economy was riding high on the back of coffee exports, and Brazil was counted among the fastest-growing economies worldwide. However, the prosperity was not destined to last. The country was hit hard by the Great Depression in the late 1920s, and the coffee prices plummeted, sending the economy into a tailspin. This was Brazil's first brush with economic instability, and it was a harsh one. Fast forward to the mid-20th century, Brazil was grappling with a new beast, hyperinflation. The inflation rate was soaring, reaching an astronomical peak of 80% per month in the late 1980s. The purchasing power of ordinary Brazilians was eroding at a rapid pace, plunging many into poverty. To combat this, Brazil adopted a new currency, the real, in the mid-90s. The Plano Real, as it was called, was a success. It tamed the inflation beast and stabilized the economy. As we stepped into the 21st century, Brazil emerged as a BRIC nation, standing shoulder to shoulder with global heavyweights like Russia, India, and China. It was a moment of pride for Brazilians as they saw their country being recognized as a potential economic powerhouse. But as we know, economic trajectories are rarely linear. Brazil's economy was hit by a severe recession in 2015 and 2016, the worst in its history. This was followed by a slow recovery, but the scars of the recession still linger. The historical context sets the stage for understanding the current economic challenges Brazil faces. It's a complex tale of booms and busts, of hope and despair. And it's a tale that continues to unfold even today, as Brazil grapples with its economic reality. Brazil's economy grapples with a myriad of issues, some of which have roots in its past. Now let's dive into the heart of the matter. The most evident issue is the high unemployment rate. It's been hovering at a staggering two-digit percentage for quite some time. This not only hampers the country's economic growth but also adversely affects the livelihoods of millions of Brazilians. Then we have the stark income inequality. The gap between the rich and the poor in Brazil is one of the largest in the world. Imagine a society where a small fraction of the population controls most of the wealth, while the majority struggles to make ends meet. This disparity undermines social cohesion and fuels tensions. Corruption is another challenge that Brazil's economy faces. It's like a leech that drains the economy of its vitality. From small-scale bribery to large-scale embezzlement, corruption is deeply entrenched in various layers of the Brazilian economic and political systems. Not only does it deter foreign investments, but it also undermines public trust in institutions. Lastly, let's talk about Brazil's over-reliance on commodity exports. The country's economy leans heavily on the export of commodities such as iron ore, soybeans, and oil. This dependence makes the economy vulnerable to global commodity price fluctuations. When prices are high, things look rosy, but when they plummet, the economy takes a hit. So we have high unemployment, stark income inequality, rampant corruption, and overdependence on commodity exports. It's a cocktail of economic challenges that Brazil is currently grappling with. These issues don't exist in isolation. They are interconnected, each one feeding off and magnifying the others, creating a vicious cycle that's hard to break. These challenges paint a grim picture, but what are their underlying causes? In the next scene, we'll delve into the root causes and explore how they contribute to the current economic predicament of Brazil. Unraveling the root causes of Brazil's economic woes requires an understanding of its political and social landscape. At the heart of Brazil's economic turmoil lies a trifecta of factors: political instability, rampant corruption, and widespread social inequality. These aren't isolated issues, but rather interconnected cogs in a machine that's been churning out economic distress for decades. Political instability is a major player. Governments come and go, each with its own set of economic policies. These constant shifts make it difficult for businesses to plan for the future, and this uncertainty stifles investment. Beyond that, it creates a volatile economic environment, where the rules of the game can change overnight. Now let's talk about corruption. It's a deeply rooted issue, seeping into every corner of society. From the highest government offices to the smallest municipal bodies, corruption has become almost a norm. This not only depletes the country's resources but also hampers fair competition, economic growth, and public trust. And then we have social inequality, a stubborn challenge that Brazil has grappled with for centuries. The gap between the wealthy and the poor is vast and seems to be growing wider. This disparity is not just a social issue, it's an economic one too. It limits opportunities for a large portion of the population and hinders overall economic growth. Certain policies have exacerbated these issues. For instance, Brazil's tax system is notoriously complex and burdensome, particularly for small businesses. It discourages entrepreneurship and stifles innovation. Moreover, public spending is often directed towards areas that don't necessarily stimulate economic growth, such as pension schemes and public sector wages, leaving little for investment in infrastructure and education. In short, the root causes of Brazil's economic challenges are deeply ingrained and complex. They're not just economic in nature, but socio-political as well. They're a tangled web of issues that have been woven over many years and cannot be untangled overnight. Understanding the causes is one thing. Finding solutions poses another challenge. Charting a path for Brazil's economic recovery is no easy task, but it's not impossible. To navigate this labyrinth, we start with political reforms. Reshaping the political landscape is a tall order, but a vital one. Corruption has gnawed at the roots of Brazil's economy for too long. It's time to prune these decaying branches and allow for fresh growth. Transparent governance and stringent anti-corruption laws could be the silver linings of this dark cloud. Next, we have economic diversification. Brazil's economy has leaned heavily on commodities for decades, with sectors like agriculture and mining carrying the burden. But putting all your eggs in one basket is a risky strategy. Diversification into technology, services, and innovation-led sectors can help cushion the economy against global market fluctuations. After all, Brazil is a land of untapped potential, and its people are its greatest resource. Alongside economic measures, addressing social issues is paramount. Poverty and income inequality are two sides of the same coin, both feeding into and being fed by economic instability. Comprehensive social programs focusing on education, healthcare, and job creation can help bridge this chasm. Empowering the less fortunate isn't just a moral obligation, it's an economic imperative. Moreover, sustainable growth must be at the heart of these reforms. Brazil's rich biodiversity is a treasure that needs to be safeguarded. A balance between economic progress and environmental preservation is crucial. Green technologies and sustainable practices can pave the way for a resilient and eco-friendly economy. But let's remember, change doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, requiring patience, resilience, and collective effort. There will be setbacks, there will be hurdles, but as long as the focus remains on the long-term vision, progress is inevitable. While the road to economic recovery is long and challenging, it's a journey Brazil must undertake for the sake of its people and future. Let's hope that the dawn of this new era brings prosperity, equality, and sustainable growth for all Brazilians. Brazil's economic situation is complex, shaped by its history, politics, and social issues. We've probed into its economic history, delved into the current challenges, and unearthed their root causes. We've also contemplated potential solutions, a path forward. It's a multifaceted puzzle, one that demands concerted efforts and deep understanding. As we continue to ponder on the economic enigma that is Brazil, let us hope for a future that sees this vibrant nation realize its potential to the fullest.